Hi, I have a story to tell that's hard to hear. And while you listen, I would like you to think to yourself, what would you do if this was your kid? February 2013, my 4-year-old and 7-year-old started talking about a kissing game that I was told was being played at their father's house while their older half-siblings were there. I reported to Halton Children's Aid about a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 4-year-old licking each other's tongues, along with other inappropriate behavior. They have it listed in their file as report received, not investigated. 2 supervisors and a worker lost the report. They couldn't even find it for a period of 11 months, where I went in myself for a file review and I found it. Fast forward to September 2013, I went directly to the Halton Regional Police because my daughter was telling me that while the older girl, who's now 13, was babysitting her, that her and the 13-year-old got naked and they were touching each other's private parts, touching and rubbing. Halton Police decided not to investigate because I saw the video where they interviewed my daughter, and dropped the ball is an understatement. They didn't ask follow-up questions that would have led to my daughter being comfortable enough to be able to talk about it. And the worker that was assigned, I'm not even going to go into that. So she verified verbal conflict between the parents. I haven't talked to the man in more than 2 years directly. I would prefer him completely out of my life, out of my kid's life, really. And you'll understand why by the time I finish. Children's Aid has since talked to my children, who have said that I'm happy during access exchanges. They've talked to my neighbors who have never even seen me talk to him. But it is still being listed. The issues that I'm about to describe are still being listed as conflict as a result of custody access issues, instead of being designated as child protection issues. As child protection issues, I would be entitled to getting a lawyer through legal aid, and by not having it fall under this umbrella, it's disabling me from being able to adequately defend my children in court, which is a whole separate issue too. So March 2014, the day after the worker interviewed the older girls, my daughter told me that the older girl had taken her into a separate room, had lifted up her dress, and hurt her bum up on the inside, and it felt like a claw. The police investigated, no charges laid. The Children's Aid listed it as unverified. So I had already asked for an outside agency to do an investigation to see about getting everything verified, because who in their right mind asks the person that's supposed to be supervising to admit that they're not, and ask the girl who's doing this to admit that she's doing it, and then based on what they say, come up with a determination of unfounded. So it took me 10 months and 4 letters and numerous verbal requests to have Children's Aid hold a internal review panel committee meeting, which was held with the executive director and 2 board members from Children's Aid. With no new information given, the Children's Aid was suddenly able to take a position that until the end of the assessment, that there was to be no no access between the 2 sibling groups. So December 15th, we were in court. And against this recommendation and against my objections, The judge ordered a 3-hour supervised visit on Christmas Day to be supervised at the grandparents' house with all 4 children in attendance. On Boxing Day, when my daughter went to the bathroom, her bum bled. She said that nothing happened, and I believed her. It took her 3 weeks this time to tell me what happened. And it was the same thing that happened in March, except for this time it hurt worse. When we were in court, I told the judge that I didn't want to be before her anymore because her decisions are hurting my children. She told me if I don't like her decisions, I can appeal them because a single parent on disability with 3 kids is in a financial position to be able to pay out $400 or $500 to appeal decisions. So we got the report back from McMaster, an oral feedback session. They have verified that the event in March happened, that the older girl hurt my daughter's bum. They will not take a position on whether there was penetration. They will not take a position on whether there was sexual intent behind the act. They are recommending supervised access when he has all 4 children. They have also identified inadequate supervision levels with him. I have sent them a letter asking them to reconsider because inadequate supervision is inadequate regardless of how many children are being inadequately supervised. And that by only protecting them when the 4 children are present, they are still leaving them at risk when it's just the 2 of them. Contacted the Ministry of Child and Youth Services. Contacted the Ministry of Community Social Services. Children's Aid is refusing to give me a copy of my file. And considering the information that I read in it, I can sure see why. The judge has refused to order it twice. The family doctor and the pediatrician are the ongoing treating doctors, and they are both recommending that that the access be supervised at all times. I asked the assigned worker to please call. I was at the pediatrician's today. She hasn't called. I'm scared for my kids. The media won't touch it. One reporter from The Spectator essentially said that because she can't identify anybody, it's really not worth her time. And then the editor from the Milton paper said that, that the police and the Children's Aid, when they get reports of this, they do thorough investigations. And I said, no. I said, they were really negligent when it came to my kid. I said, how can you tell me that with the Office of the Children's Lawyer being involved in saying that this is a protection issue and not a custody issue, therefore we're not going to get involved, with the police interviewing my daughter 5 times, with Children's Aid unverified, and the court system involved. I've been asking for supervised visits when all 4 children are present since September 2013. So I filed a motion, went back to court after the oral feedback session from McMaster, where the Children's Aid worker, my ex and myself, were all told what would be in the written report. Children's Aid took the position that they didn't want to take any position until after they received the written report. So the judge fined me $200 to pay him for wasting his time, even when he admitted that he only made $14 an hour and that he was only missing 3 hours work. I'm really just lost. Part of me feels that if I had not said anything in trying to protect her, that I would have actually protected her better. Because if they were just games, then it was something that was fun, right? And that because I was telling people and because people were going back and talking to this older girl, she hurt my daughter. As a parent, I need help. I need help from somebody who can actually help me. Instead of just like the Ministry of Child and Youth lady I spoke to, wished me the best of luck. I don't need luck. I need somebody to step in and say, this is wrong. No child starting at 4 should be exposed to kissing, playing naked booby games, watching 2 teenagers having sex. And the police and Children's Aid decided that the other teenager, they weren't going to interview her to find out what happened. And to be anally penetrated twice before she turned 6. I don't understand how we can live in Canada, in one of the best countries in the world, and the government can't help me. The provincial government can't help me. The federal government can't help me. Children's Aid, they're not willing to help me. They're not willing to help my daughter. They're not capable. I have nowhere else to turn. Open to any and all suggestions. You have to understand how desperate I am to take the measure that I'm taking right now while I'm talking to the sky. Somebody please help us.